Good afternoon. My name's Chris Brown. I'm a consultant with Morgans Financial, and we're at the Noosa Mining Conference 2016. This is the fifth Noosa Mining Conference. I have to say I think the mood here is more buoyant than in the past 4 years. I have to say I think it's very buoyant. I'm here with the Managing Director of Havilah Resources, Chris Giles. Chris is going to give you a little rundown on the Havilah Resources story. Chris has been exploring in the Curnamona Creighton, which is an hour and a half's drive west of Broken Hills where their operation is. Been exploring in the region for 15 years or so, very successfully. As I say, has now brought the Portia gold mine into production. Chris, can you tell us a little bit about Portia?
Yes, well the good thing about Portia is we're producing gold. So this week we produced 40 kilograms. So that's about $2 million. So after a lot of effort in drilling it, establishing resource, the permitting, innovative financing deal with the contractor, we've actually finally produced gold. So it's great time at Portia.
Can you tell us a little bit about that innovative financing deal?
So we got the permitting the end of October in 2014, and it's hard to imagine now, but that was when gold was pretty depressed. So we went around to the usual gamut of banks, and they wanted to know what used car yard we were from, and they said, what about your cash flow, and what about your past history, of course, which we had none. Long and the short was impossible to get finance. So I spoke to Steve Radford of quite a large contracting firm in Broken Hill, and said, Steve, we've got this little resource, it's in your backyard, can we do some sort of deal? So to make it simple, we said, okay, 50-50, you bring all the ore to the surface, you take the overburden off, because Portia is actually an overburden removal exercise. You take the overburden off, deliver the ore to the surface, half the gold's yours. We shook hands, and we never looked back.
Chris, how long's the Portia operation going to run, and what happens then?
Based on the current mine design, it's only about a 6 to 12 month operation. So theoretically, we've been mining for 16 months. We've got down to the ore, and we should have about 6 months to go. But practically, the idea was always that this current pit was a means to an end, where we get down to the floor of the pit, and we drill the floor, and we try and establish a resource in the bedrock underneath, look for extensions, and that's what we're doing now. So look, according to the original design, 6 months in ore, but who knows? It will go on a lot longer than that, I think.
What sort of intersections have you had below the pit? You said the drilling's been particularly difficult, and obviously it'll be expensive to drill out, but what have you had so far?
We've got some amazing bonanza intersections. We've got 10 metres of ounce and 20 metres of half ounce bonanza results. The problem is that they're very patchy. And so we're drilling from the surface, we're drilling in material that's very hard to sample, it's hard to get a good sample, it's wet, sloppy often. So we'll drill one hole, get a bonanza, we'll drill one next door and get a mediocre result. So we couldn't put together a JORC resource. So we know there's gold there, so it's a matter of just drilling enough holes to get confidence. So one of the really good things that happened last weekend, we actually got down the floor of the pit. We had good bedrock exposures in the wall, and I could actually get hold of some of the nice looking altered vein material, dolly it up, pan it, and lo and behold, nice gold.
Well, that looks like the good immediate future. What happens next after that? I think you've got a project North Portia?
Yes. So surprisingly enough, just 500 metres north of Portia is North Portia, and that's a copper sulphide gold deposit. A bit different animal to Portia, which is basically just gravity gold. That's a typical sort of sulphide, so ultimately you need a ball mill and a concentrator. But the good thing about it has about 3 or 4 million tonnes of oxidised cap. Again, which we've got a free gold cap, then we've got quite rich chalcocite. So part of it we'll be able to put through our Portia plant, and the other part we will need a ball mill and flotation. And that deposit's got about 11 million tonne resource, and if we mined it at 1 million tonne per annum, there you've got 10 or 11 years. If we mined it all, that is.
And you've actually got quite a big resource base outside of the Portia mine, but North Portia and Kalkaroo. What's the total resource base?
Havilah's current JORC resource now is about 900,000 tonnes of copper and about 2.4 million ounces of gold, spread over several deposits. But the biggest is Kalkaroo, and that's got about 620,000 tonnes of copper and close on 2 million ounces of gold. So it's a big deposit. It's also open in every direction, so we probably haven't plumbed the full depths yet.
And where are you with that deposit in terms of scoping studies or preliminary feasibility studies or whatever step you're at?
Yeah, we haven't talked about it much, I must admit, because we've been so preoccupied with Portia getting that going. But actually, with Kalkaroo, we're almost at the stage of getting a mining lease granted. So we've been through the permitting process, and we're just about to come out with a probable ore reserve, so we can put a sort of good valuation on it. We're working on the process design, trying to tie down the costing to BFS type accuracies. Currently it's sort of plus or minus 30%. And I guess finally we'd love to do a deal like Altona's done with a major group that comes along and can actually bankroll it and remove the risk from us in the financing. We'd much rather go that way than raise equity financing and be in debt up to here with a bank.
So cash generation in the short term, potential development of North Portia, and then pushing on the appraisal of Kalkaroo. So there's a lot to happen in the next 12 months. How will your finances hold up?
Well, we're a pretty frugal company. We've survived a few ups and downs, so we're very careful how we spend the money. So actually it's quite a novelty to have money coming in instead of going out. So I'm sure that the cash rate of Portia will squirrel that away very carefully, and we won't do anything silly. And that's why with Kalkaroo, we want to get a partner to fund it so it can take the risk away, because that's basically what happened with Portia. All the mining risk was removed from Havilah. So we'd like to do that sort of deal, something like that with Kalkaroo, but with a big partner, and take away a risk, keep what equity we can in the project, and go and find the next one.
Chris, thanks very much. There's obviously a strong next 12 months. Look forward to you at this conference next year, and be interested to see what your share price is then.
Yeah.
Thanks very much again.
Okay, thanks a lot.